Members, from the time that I was sworn in 6 years ago, I have thought often about this moment and what I'd be able to say I accomplished together with members, former and current, that made my time here with you matter. We've heard some remarks that incorporated the words of Churchill, Hamilton, and even Goodson. Today, I'm going to rely on some Sir Elton John. You see, when I made the decision that my future lies beyond this yellow brick road, I was reminded again about the importance of time, which has taken on a new meaning for me. In my life's songbook, every session has had its own rhythm, each bill a lyric of its own. Each week, my husband asks, "When are you going to come down? When are you going to land?" And I sit here in this chamber and every so often think to myself, when times get tense, should stay on that farm, should have listened to my old man. To the many friends in the process I have made over the years who tried to talk me out of this decision, I say, you know you can't hold me forever. I didn't sign up with you. Still, the more time I spend away from my family, I realize this girl, too young to be singing the blues. But I leave knowing and appreciating that my time here did matter. I was elected in 2012 at the age of 31, single and childless. Honestly, I never thought I was going to have a family of my own. And my bills reflected what I thought was important in terms of how to make that time here matter. And I leave very happy that I can say that my time helping kids and families really didn't have a strong voice or a powerful lobbyist. So if you call this my collaboration with many of you here, my greatest hits, a couple of things I want to highlight to reemphasize how important this time was. The Charlotte's Web bill with Matt Gaetz, for me, was a tremendous accomplishment because we were able to move the needle and get people talking about something that at that time was very uncomfortable and very controversial. It really hit home when Ed Hooper, he was a senior at that time, came back to my desk and he looked at me and he was a bit emotional and he said, "You don't have any kids, do you?" I said, "No, sir, I don't." He said, "Well, Matt Gaetz doesn't have kids." I said, "No." I'll go, "What are you suggesting?" He said, he began to tear up, and Ed said, "I want to debate today, but I think I might get a bit too emotional." He said, "It's amazing that in this process, in one session, the two people who are seemingly so opposite that don't have kids are going to pass a bill together to help so many kids around this state." I felt then, and I knew that my time mattered. The seclusion restraint bill that we brought to the floor this past week, that I've worked on for 6 years, that looks like it finally may pass and become law this year, that was to help kids with disabilities. I want to thank Leader Rodriguez, Representatives Placencia, Jenny, my friend Susan Goldstein, many other advocates, Chair Baleka, for helping us with that. That's going to help a lot of kids around the state. Another issue that I sponsored my first year dealt with trafficking and opioids and how to deal with mandatory minimums. And when you look at who that affected, mostly it was young women under the age of 30. A lot of them were moms. The bill that we sponsored and worked on together reset that balance. Before that, we were sending people to prison. Possession alone, not trafficking, not selling, not manufacturing, possession alone. 7 hydrocodone pills got you 3 years in state prison. The bill I introduced and passed with a lot of your help changed that. Threatened use of force. That was a controversial bill, and if I relied on headlines alone, I would have stayed away from it. But that affected a young mom who had just had a baby and who was attacked in her home by her abusive ex-husband. One from Jacksonville named Marissa Alexander. Very aggressive prosecutor who, thank God, is no longer in office, brought up charges against her again and again. And it was because, under Stand Your Ground, she didn't qualify because, so scared, she hit and she missed. And in her 10-20 life, Marissa was sentenced to 20 years in state prison. Dennis Baxley and Neil Combie and I, we worked very hard on that bill to change that outcome. And probably one of my greatest experiences here, we were finishing up after an oversight committee meeting. And I usually head right back home after that. And Greg Newbern came by my office and he said, "You have a minute, I have someone that wants to see you." And I walk outside and it was Marissa Alexander. Just being able to give someone a hug. Before that, she was a woman who had a story that most of us have read about in the newspaper. But to have her here in the Capitol in the flesh, and then to take her hand and to take her to Neil Cumbie, and I'm like, "Neil, look who's here." The things that we do matter to people, and oftentimes the things that mean the most are the ones that don't have lobbyists and issue campaigns. Those are the things that I will take with me. And of course, for me, what affects families the most around the state, direct file reform. Working on that issue for so many years and trying to balance the need for public safety and juvenile justice, that is what I leave to all of you to continue working on that so we can get it right. But all in all, members, for me, it's time for me to go now and give that same devotion and energy to my husband. He's working right now, and I know he's on a tractor somewhere. I've been trying to call him, and he probably can't hear the phone ringing. But I will tell you, when you watch this clip later, I want you to know that the title of state rep for me means nothing in comparison to the title of being Mrs. Brad Walpole. I want to thank my mom, Siobhan. She's in the West Gallery, and my Aunt Diana for being here. Mom, thank you. My dad, my family at home, I love you guys, and I wish that you could have been here too. My amazing team that's helped me over the last 6 years, Justin, Linda, Marcia, Jerry, Christina, Michael, Hannah, Jenna, Connor, Mark, Eli, Deegan, Caitlin, thank you all so much. And with that, I say goodbye, Yellow Brick Road, where this blue dog, yes, proudly, still howls. You can't plant me in the State House. I'm going back to my plow. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, friends, and may God bless each of you and your families, and may God bless our great state of Florida.
Katie, I just want to say it's been a pleasure to serve with you. You are a tremendous lawyer. You know your bills inside and out. But I think the thing that's most spectacular is how many, as it was said earlier by Representative Boyd, big, hairy, audacious goals, BHAGs, did you accomplish? And all of those bills that would come out to the floor, and it would be you with Gates, Baleka, Baxley, Hooper, Rodriguez, all these bipartisan bills. You have just perfected the art of crossing the aisle and accomplishing great things for the state, and I wish you all the best.